I know how this sounds, but I have to write it down. Not for clicks. Not to make a name for myself again. I've had that, and I lost it. This isn't an exposé. It's a breadcrumb trail. Because if I disappear, if I vanish without a trace like I half expect I will, someone should know where to start looking. My name is Erin Graves. I used to be an investigative journalist. Not a blogger, not some intern who got lucky with a viral post. I mean the kind of journalist who chased stories no one else would touch. I was relentless, nosy, and honestly a pain in the ass. But I got the truth, even when people didn't want to hear it. I had bylines in real papers. National ones. I had awards, travel gigs, book deals in the pipeline. I had a life. And then I published one piece too many. It was about a certain tech company. You'd know the name. Hell, you probably have one of their devices in your hand right now. I had proof, actual proof, of illegal data harvesting, threats made to whistleblowers, even hidden backdoors in secure apps. It was airtight. I ran the story. Thought I'd sleep well that night, knowing I'd done something good. Within a week, I was fired. My name got dragged through every mudhole online. A sudden scandal about me plagiarizing a college paper popped up. Fabricated quotes, edited screenshots, all fake, all viral. No editor would touch me after that. Even the ones who whispered that they believed me, they backed away fast. Said I was radioactive. That was 6 months ago. Now, I live in a crumbling studio apartment in Charleston, with peeling paint and radiators that groan like they're haunted. I've got a second-hand laptop that only works if I jiggle the charger just right. A stack of unopened bills held together with a rubber band, and a gray cat named Luna, who only likes me when I'm opening tuna. My days are spent scrolling gig apps and selling off old camera gear. Most nights I fall asleep wondering if this is what drowning feels like. Slow, quiet, invisible. So when I saw the ad, I laughed out loud. Night staff needed. Night staff needed. Black Hollow Inn. $50 an hour, 10:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. No experience necessary. Immediate start. Cash. No name, no website, no fancy logo. Just a blurry image of a building halfway swallowed by trees and a phone number. I stared at it for a long time. Something about it felt off. More than just the too good pay or the lack of info. It looked like a scam, but not the usual kind. Like it wasn't trying to trick me out of money. More like it wanted something else entirely. But $50 an hour? Cash? I had $12 in my bank account. I called. The man who picked up didn't say hello. His voice sounded like someone had swallowed gravel and chased it with whiskey. Come in tonight, 10:15 sharp. No resume. And that was it. No directions, no name, just a time. The line went dead. I should have ignored it. Should have trusted my instincts. But honestly, I didn't have anything left to lose. I left Luna a double portion of food, packed a flashlight, a notebook, and the pepper spray I used to carry on assignments. The address led me past Fayetteville, up into the woods where the GPS started to glitch and the cell signal dropped to nothing. The road twisted through trees like it didn't want to be found. Vines curled over leaning signs, moss covered rusted guardrails. The deeper I drove, the more it felt like I wasn't supposed to be here. And then, there it was. Black Hollow Inn. The building looked like something abandoned on purpose. 2 stories tall, shaped like an L, the siding gray with age, windows dark, the roof sagging under a layer of moss. A cracked driveway looped around a parking lot with crooked lines and flickering yellow lamps that buzzed like flies. In the front window, a battered old vacancy sign glowed sickly orange. The light made the lobby inside look even more shadowed, like it was watching. I pulled in and parked. Sat there a minute with the engine ticking and my fingers locked around the wheel. My heart was doing this slow, jittery rhythm like it couldn't decide if it was scared or just tired. But I got out. The office door jingled as I stepped in. The air smelled like dust, mothballs, and burnt coffee left on a hot plate too long. The carpet was thin and threadbare. Behind the front desk sat a man who looked built from metal and old habits. Broad shoulders, thick neck, skin like leather, left in the sun too long. His fingers were yellowed at the tips, probably from a lifetime of cigarettes. He didn't look up. "You Erin?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I saw the ad." "You're late." I blinked. "It's 10:14. That got his eyes on me. Pale and flat, like river stones dried in the sun. They didn't show anything. No irritation, no surprise, just emptiness. You start at 10:30, he said, but first, rules. He opened a drawer, pulled out a yellowed piece of paper folded into quarters, and handed it to me. Read them. Memorize them. Don't ask questions. Break one and you're done. Done how? I asked, even though I already regretted it. He didn't answer, just grabbed a coat from the hook, brushed past me like I was furniture, and paused at the door. Turn off the lamp in the window at 10:45, he said. Good luck. And then he left. Just like that, I was alone. The office creaked around me. Somewhere in the building, a pipe ticked like it was keeping time. I unfolded the paper, fingers trembling more than I liked to admit. There were 6 rules. Simple. Short. Terrifying. Rules for the night shift at Black Hollow Inn. 1. At 10:45 p.m., turn off the no vacancy lamp in the front window. Do not turn it back on until the grandfather clock in the lobby chimes 7 times. 2. Between 1:10 and 2:40 a.m., avoid the laundry room. If you hear water running or someone humming inside, lock the office door and wait it out. 3. If you see room 112's curtains open, close your eyes and count to 30. If they're still open afterward, unplug the lobby lamp and don't plug it in again until sunrise. 4. Should a man in a dark green coat arrive and ask for a room, give him the key to 201 and say nothing. Do not accept payment. Do not watch him walk away. 5. If the front desk phone rings at 4:17 a.m., answer it with your left hand. Do not speak. Do not move. When the line goes silent, hang up and check the hallway mirror, just once. 6. If a barefoot child knocks on the back entrance and asks to come inside, do not respond. Hide under the desk and cover your ears. She will try different voices. I read them twice, then again. Every line sank like a stone into my chest. At 10:45, I stood up, walked to the front window, and flicked the switch on the orange lamp. The light died with a faint pop. The front of the motel vanished into shadow, and something in the air shifted, like the walls had taken a breath in, and held it. The first hour was quiet, but it didn't feel still, not at all. I've worked some weird shifts in my life. Back when I was freelancing overseas, I once stayed up all night in a leaking train station to meet a source who never showed. I've camped outside courtrooms, police precincts, gated communities, all for a headline. But this was different. This wasn't boredom or adrenaline. This was dread. Quiet, crawling dread. I sat behind the front desk of the Black Hollow Inn with a lukewarm cup of coffee I found in an old metal percolator. It tasted like burnt pennies and regret. But it was something to hold. I tried checking the drawers. One held loose pens and a broken stapler. Another had an old motel ledger, the kind with carbon paper and handwritten names. Most of the entries stopped years ago. There was a rotary phone on the desk. Cream-colored, dusty, cord wrapped in on itself like it was trying to strangle something. I gave it a glance every few minutes, waiting for it to ring even though I prayed it wouldn't. The grandfather clock sat in the far corner of the lobby, tall and silent. Its hands didn't move. I tapped the glass. Nothing. It wasn't ticking. It was just standing there like a sentry that had already fallen asleep. At 11:30, the front door creaked open. For a split second, my body tensed, every muscle on alert. Then I saw them. A pair of teenagers, maybe 18, 20 at most. He wore a bomber jacket and a backwards cap. She had a heavy hoodie and tired eyes. "Yo," the guy said, grinning. "You open?" I nodded, my mouth dry. "Yeah, just one night?" "Yeah, just passing through," he said. "This place haunted or something? Looks like it should come with tetanus." The girl nudged him with her elbow. "Shut up, Kyle." I gave them a key. Room 103. The moment my fingers brushed his hand, I felt how alive they were. Real, warm. I forced myself to smile, even as my skin prickled. "Breakfast not included," I said, trying to sound human. They laughed and left. And I was alone again. I watched them disappear down the hall, then turned back to the quiet. At 12:15, something moved. It started as a flicker, barely a change, just enough for the corner of my eye to catch it. I stood, walked slowly toward the front window, and stared across the empty lot. Room 112. Its curtains were open. Not wide, just enough, just a crack in the fabric. Like fingers had parted them to peek out. My chest went tight. I didn't think. I remembered. Rule 3. If you see room 112's curtains open, close your eyes and count to 30. If they're still open afterward, unplug the lobby lamp and don't plug it in again until sunrise. I turned away fast, pressing my palms to my eyelids until stars danced across the dark. 1, 2, 3. Each number dropped like a pebble into a deep well. I counted slowly, evenly. My heart thudded too loud. Every breath felt scraped raw. 27, 28, 29, 30. I opened my eyes, looked back. The curtains were still open. I didn't hesitate. I spun around and marched across the office, cords tangled underfoot, and yanked the plug from the wall. The lobby lamp died with a soft click. Darkness rushed in. Not total darkness. The emergency lights above the exit still hummed, but it felt deeper now. Like a layer had peeled away. The windows no longer reflected anything. The air was colder. My fingertips tingled. I stood there, gripping the cord like it might save me. Every instinct I had screamed to run, but I knew better than to move without a reason. You didn't survive this long as a reporter by ignoring rules, especially not the kind whispered through folded paper and stone-eyed men. I sat back down behind the desk. Waited. Outside, the wind picked up. Leaves scraped along the roof like dry hands. Then nothing. Silence. The kind that makes you aware of every breath, every blink, every single second dragging past. I checked the clock on my phone. Still another hour until the next rule might matter. Another hour in this creeping dark with only the tick of my pulse to mark the time. I tried to steady my thoughts, told myself the curtains were just open. Maybe the last guest forgot to close them. Maybe it meant nothing, but in the pit of my stomach, something coiled. Because I knew they hadn't been opened before. And I knew something had moved them. After the curtains, I didn't sit still for long. Every surface in the office felt colder now, like the warmth had quietly drained out of the walls. The carpet under my boots was damp in places, though there wasn't any visible water. I tried to ignore it, tried to focus on the clock. 12:47 a.m. The lamp stayed unplugged. I left it where it lay, twisted on the floor behind the desk like a broken limb. Whatever that rule protected me from, I wasn't about to test it. I tried to distract myself, flipped through the old Motel ledger. Names in neat cursive filled the first few pages. Then blocky, rushed scrawls. Then nothing. Blank lines stretching on for years. I kept wondering how long this place had been open, and how long it had been like this. Somewhere in the building, the pipes groaned. Or maybe it was the walls, hard to tell anymore. At 1:08, my phone buzzed, just the screen lighting up with the time. No call, no text. I checked the signal out of habit. No bars, of course. I rubbed my face with both hands. Just hang on, Erin. Make it to 7. That's all you have to do. I started making rounds, slow steps down the hallway behind the office. I didn't go far. Just wanted to make sure the couple from earlier wasn't sneaking out for some joyride or deciding to graffiti the walls. That's when I heard it. Water. At first, I thought it was in my head, that phantom sound you sometimes get after a long shower. But this was real, faint, echoing through the hallway like it was coming from behind a closed door. The sound of a faucet left running, steady and careless. Then came the humming. A woman's voice, not a melody, not really. More like a broken nursery rhyme being stitched together from memory. Off-key and slow. She wasn't singing words, just rising and falling notes, soft and low, floating through the dark. I stopped walking. The laundry room door stood partway open, about 20 feet down the hall. Its frame was warped. The edges were slick with moisture that hadn't been there earlier. My stomach turned. Rule 2. Between 1:10 and 2:40 a.m., avoid the laundry room. If you hear water running or someone humming inside, lock the office door and wait it out. I turned. Walked fast. The humming didn't stop. It followed. It didn't get louder, just closer. Like it wasn't carried by sound but by presence. I got back to the office, shut the door behind me, and locked it with a stiff twist of the deadbolt. Then I sat, back against the wood, eyes on the desk, ears straining for every shift in the air. The humming was louder now. I could hear it moving, gliding slowly past the hallway entrance, stopping for just a second. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. My skin crawled. My scalp prickled like something was standing behind me even though I hadn't moved. Then it passed. The humming grew distant, stopped. Silence again, but not the safe kind, not the relief after storm kind. This was the silence of a room waiting to see what you'll do next. And then knock. Sharp. Direct. From the side entrance. I flinched hard. My boot hit the desk leg with a loud thump. My breath caught in my throat. I waited. Another knock. Slower this time. I stood up carefully, peered toward the small window in the office door. Nothing. No one. I didn't open it. I didn't even reach for the lock. I waited. Eventually, I checked the hallway. The laundry room door was closed. There was no water sound, no voice, but the carpet outside that door was soaked. It had spread in every direction, like something had dragged itself across the floor while dripping. I went back to the office and didn't leave again. Not until I had to. The motel didn't feel empty anymore. Not after the humming, not after the knock, not after the silence had returned and made everything worse. It was around 2:30 a.m. when I started to feel it. This weight in the air. Not a smell, not a sound, just something pressing down on me. Like the motel itself was holding its breath, like it knew what was coming. I didn't move from behind the front desk. I sat there, arms folded, a pencil clutched in one hand, even though I wasn't writing anything. The lamp was still unplugged. The glow from the vending machine in the corner was the only thing keeping the room from being swallowed completely. It buzzed softly, casting a faint blue shimmer across the desk and floor. That was when the door creaked open. No footsteps on the porch, no car pulling in. Just the door, moving inward like someone had pushed it with barely a touch. A man stepped inside. He was tall, too tall, his head nearly grazed the top of the frame. He wore a dark green coat that hung stiff around his legs, heavy with damp. The fabric shimmered faintly, like it had been underwater too long. His shoulders were broad, his neck thin, and his face didn't look right. It wasn't wrong exactly, just off. His skin was pale, not sickly, not cold, just colorless, like paper left in a drawer too long. His nose was too sharp, his chin too long. But the most unnerving part was his eyes, because I couldn't see them. The brim of his hat was low, casting shadow over the top half of his face. But even in the low light, even when I should have caught a glimpse, there was nothing. No glint, no movement, just shadow. "I'd like a room," he said. His voice was distant, flat, like it had been recorded on old tape and left to sit for years. The words came out smooth but slightly warped. Something about the timing was just a little too slow, like he was imitating the rhythm of speech instead of using it. My body knew before my brain did. Rule 4. Should a man in a dark green coat arrive and ask for a room, give him the key to 201, and say nothing. Do not accept payment. Do not watch him walk away. I didn't speak, didn't nod, didn't blink more than I had to. I stood slowly. My legs felt brittle, like they might snap at the knees. I reached behind me, keeping my eyes fixed straight ahead, and grabbed the key labeled 201. I set it on the counter between us. The man didn't move at first. He stood there, silent, not breathing. Then he reached forward with long, pale fingers, took the key. He didn't reach for his wallet. He didn't ask about checkout time. He didn't say thank you. He turned. I forced myself to keep my eyes on the desk, focused on the chipped edge, the grain of the wood, the reflection of the vending machine's blue light. The door clicked shut behind him. That was it. But the motel changed after he left. It was subtle. The buzzing from the vending machine cut out for a second, just a blink, but long enough to make my chest seize. The lights above the hallway dimmed. The walls didn't creak anymore. Everything became still. Not calm. Still. Like the whole building had entered some kind of holding pattern, waiting for whatever came next. I didn't stand up. I didn't move. My thoughts were tangled with old instincts. This wasn't fear I could explain. It wasn't logic or nerves. It was older than that. Older than me. I thought about the rules again. The man in the green coat hadn't spoken more than 10 words, hadn't looked threatening, hadn't tried to do anything. And still my skin crawled like he had dragged something invisible in behind him. I sat there for a long time, just breathing. Eventually I checked the time, 3:38 a.m. A little over 30 minutes until the phone call, a little over 30 minutes until the next test. After the man in the green coat left, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still standing just outside the office. Every creak from the walls felt deliberate. Every shadow stretched too long. I caught myself glancing at the corners of the ceiling, expecting movement. But there was nothing. Not that I could see. I stayed behind the desk, not because I thought it was safe, but because it was the only place I could see both entrances, without turning my back to anything. The minutes crawled past. I watched the time on my phone tick closer to 4:17. The screen kept flickering, like the battery was about to die, even though it had been at 80% just an hour ago. The signal was still gone. Every app refused to load. My flashlight worked, barely, but the beam felt thinner now, like it didn't want to cut through the dark anymore. At 4:16 I stood up. 1 minute. Just one. I wiped my palms on my jeans and took a deep breath. I stared at the rotary phone on the desk. Cream-colored. Cord tangled. I didn't touch it. Not yet. Then. Ring. Loud. Sharp. Cutting straight through the thick quiet. I jumped. My right hand twitched forward out of instinct, but I caught myself. Took a step back. Shook out my left hand, forced my fingers to stop trembling, and reached for the receiver. Cold plastic met my skin. I lifted it to my ear. Didn't speak. Didn't move. I kept my other hand flat on the desk. At first I thought there was nothing. Just static. Then I heard it. Breathing. Not steady. Not deep. Short, shallow breaths like someone was trying not to be heard. The kind of breathing that comes when someone's hiding or when they're angry. I didn't say a word. The line crackled faintly. Then came another sound. Scraping. Metal on glass. Slow. Deliberate. Like a key dragging down a window pane. I wanted to ask who it was. I wanted to hang up. But the rule was clear. Do not speak. Do not move. The sound continued for a few more seconds. Then silence. A long, empty stretch of it. No breathing. No static. Just absence. Then, click. The line went dead. I lowered the phone gently. The quiet returned in full force, louder now than the ring had ever been. I stood there, heart pounding so hard I thought I might get sick. And then I remembered the second part of the rule. When the line goes silent, hang up and check the hallway mirror. Just once. I didn't want to. Everything in me resisted it. But I had to. I stepped out into the hallway just outside the office. The mirror was a wide rectangle mounted on the wall across from a dusty painting of a lake. Its glass was old, just slightly warped. The silver backing had peeled at the corners, making it look like the reflection was rusting away. I stared into it. At first I saw myself. Pale, tired, eyes red at the edges. Then I saw it, something behind me. I didn't turn. I didn't breathe. The shape was blurry, dark and tall, just out of focus like something behind frosted glass. It wasn't touching me, just standing there, still, watching. I blinked. It was gone. I turned around. The hallway was empty. I checked every angle, looked under the desk behind the office door. Nothing, but the feeling stayed, that pressure. Like someone had leaned in too close and whispered without making a sound. I wanted to sit, but I didn't trust the chair anymore. So I stood there, swaying slightly, waiting for my pulse to slow down. Somewhere outside, a light buzzed and flickered. It was nearly 5 a.m., and I knew the worst wasn't over yet. After the mirror, after the shadow, something changed in the air. Not the kind of change you notice right away. It was slow, creeping, like heat leaving a room 1 degree at a time. The longer I stood in it, the more wrong it felt. I paced behind the desk, trying to steady my breathing, trying to act like anything was normal. I even attempted to fix the coffee maker, thinking the mechanical clicks and clanks might anchor me. But it was no use. The buttons didn't respond. The machine didn't even hum anymore. It was dead metal. I checked the time on my phone again. 4:56 a.m. I knew what came next. Rule 6. If a barefoot child knocks on the back entrance and asks to come inside, do not respond. Hide under the desk and cover your ears. She will try different voices. I didn't want to believe it. Even after everything, the humming woman, the man in the green coat, the shadow in the mirror, I still clung to this desperate piece of denial. Maybe nothing would happen. Maybe the rules only applied some nights. But at exactly 4:57, I heard knocking. Soft, small, like little knuckles tapping gently against wood. I froze. The back entrance was just down the short hallway behind the office. I didn't look. I didn't need to. Another knock. Then a voice. Hello? High-pitched, sweet, almost musical. I'm cold. I lost my parents. Can I come in? I dropped to the floor behind the desk. My knees hit the carpet hard. I curled in on myself and clamped my hands over my ears, pressing so tight it hurt. Please, the voice said. It's freezing out here. I rocked gently, eyes squeezed shut. The words from the rule looped in my head. Do not respond. Cover your ears. She will try different voices. I'm scared, she whispered. There's something in the woods. Her voice cracked like a child's. Soft, pleading, too perfect. Then it changed. You always like pretending, Erin. My eyes snapped open. The air in my lungs vanished. The The voice was lower now, older. Familiar. You were good at it back then. It wasn't a child anymore. It wasn't anyone I could place. But somehow, it knew me. Not in the way monsters guess. This one knew exactly where to hit. You helped them forget, it said. Buried the truth nice and deep, didn't you? My throat burned. I wanted to shout, wanted to scream that it was lying, but I didn't. I couldn't. I just pressed harder, tried to drown it out. You thought they'd stay quiet forever, that no one would dig it up. It giggled, a sound far too sharp to belong to any child. You forgot too, that's the funniest part. I bit down on the sleeve of my jacket, tears stinging my eyes, heart thundering so loud I thought it might burst. You came back, Erin. You came back to remember. Then, silence. Not fading, not stepping away, just gone. Like a breath sucked out of the world. I stayed under the desk. I didn't move. Not until I heard the first chime. Dong. Deep. Hollow. The grandfather clock. Dong. 2. 3. Each one steadier than the last. 4. 5. 6. 7. At the final chime I stood. The office looked the same, dim and quiet. The vending machine buzzed in like it had never stopped. I walked to the front window and flicked the switch. The no-vacancy lamp blinked back on, flooding the room in its sickly orange glow. Something in the air relaxed. Barely. Just enough to breathe again. That was when the man from last night stepped through the door, like he hadn't missed a beat. His coat looked the same. His eyes still unreadable. "You made it," he said. I stared at him. "What is this place?" I asked. He didn't answer. Just walked behind the desk, opened a drawer and handed me a thick envelope. Cash. More than a night's pay. Heavy in my hand. Be here tonight? I should have said no, should have run. Should have grabbed my car keys and driven until the trees were behind me. Until the name, Black Hollow Inn, was nothing but a half-memory behind a locked door in my mind. But instead, I looked back at the lamp, at the hallway, at the place where the knocking had come from, and something deep in my bones whispered, "You've been here before." "I'll be here," I said. He nodded once. Like that was all he needed. I stepped outside. The sky was beginning to lighten, pale gray stretching over the hills. My phone buzzed in my pocket. No number, just a message. "One night isn't enough, Erin. There's more to remember." I looked back at the motel. It stared back. And somewhere inside me, something old and buried shifted. Because they were right. There was more. And I was coming back to remember it all.